Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Friday night show. It's Friday again. It comes around ever so quickly every week. And for those of you that don't know me, I am a self-published author. I write women's romantics, well, not necessarily women's, I write romantic suspense fiction. But every week, every Friday night, well, it's night here, I have a different guest on, and we talk about them, we talk about their lives, we talk about what goes on behind the scenes. And tonight, I'm really, really excited. I've got a lovely gentleman on with me tonight who's in New York. Well, I think he's on New York time, so he can tell me where he is. So it's 4:00 in the afternoon for him there. And we're going to be talking all things gratitude. And he's got a very special, he calls it his gratitude slam. He has this very special short broadcast that he does regularly. He's going to give us a taster of that, and he's going to tell us all about himself and why he does what he does. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him tonight. His name is Michael Ian Cedar, and without further ado, I am going to bring him on. So bear with me. I do this every week. Hi, Michael.
We're here. I'm here.
We're here.
And yes, I am here in New York City.
You are in New York. I said that, and then I suddenly thought, oh, you might not be in New York. You might just be on New York.
I keep talking about New York time, but I never actually said I'm actually in New York. But yes, I'm right here. Right now, I'm on 42nd Street, literally.
Okay, so we went to New York a few years ago now, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. And I can't even remember where we stayed. This is how terrible my memory is. But my husband has just popped up online, so I'm sure he will remind me where we stayed.
Good night, Mark.
Yeah. So I'm sure he will remind me where we were. But I'm pretty certain that we would have walked past or through or down or across 42nd Street at some point in time.
It's the main street. Yep. So we're here, and thank you so much for having me on. I totally appreciate it.
No, you're very welcome, and it's really, really lovely to have you on board. So I said in the introduction we were going to talk about all things gratitude, and obviously this is how we connected, wasn't it, originally? I know I obviously put a comment out and said, hey, does anybody want to come onto my show? Oh, we've
hi to Sandra.
Yeah, the Roosevelt Hotel, that's right. Does that ring any bells?
I don't remember where it is. But I know I've either been there or
Hi, Sandra. Sandra's one of my regular viewers. She tries to be here every week. So I'm really hoping she's going to enjoy this tonight. I think it's going to be something that she's going to really enjoy. So we connected through Be Live, didn't we, I think? Is that right?
Which is the program we're using right now to talk to you.
Obviously. And I learned, obviously, that you do this kind of whole gratitude thing. And I've managed to dip in a few times.
Yeah.
So, tell us all about it. Tell us what you do, why you do it, and, let's hear what it's all about.
I eat. But outside of eating, from a very early age, I knew that I really liked to help people do things they love. And so the name of my company is The Legacy of You. And we're a company that creates entertainment, media, and education all about pursuing your passion. And more importantly than pursuing your passion, making a living off of it. Not that I don't want someone to pursue a passion that they don't want to make a living off of, but I believe that everyone in the world should be allowed or enabled or empowered or encouraged to pursue something they love for a living. Now, maybe for that living, it's not necessarily a financial return, but I just believe, imagine a world if everyone did what they loved. I mean, imagine how different the world would be. Yet our education system doesn't necessarily provoke that. And I think my desire in helping people to pursue their passion is I was not a good student. I just wasn't. I was an awful student. And now I've been told I'm dyslexic. If you look up dyslexia, I have every single symptom. I don't know if I have dyslexia, but it looks like if whatever people that are labeled that are, I have that. And so regular education didn't work for me. So I loved seeing that all you needed to do was figure out what it is that's important to you, what's important work, what's meaningful work. That's the first question. And then people pursued it. And I remember even being a young kid talking to my parents' friends, and like one of them they were a scientist and they studied the stingray, the spinal cords of stingrays. And I just remember talking to them and being fascinating about it. And it wasn't that I cared about stingrays, but I loved the idea that someone could be so impassioned by something like a spinal cord of a stingray or mushrooms in the forest. Another person, right? So the legacy of you is about creating content, work, entertainment experiences that somehow encourage people to be the best, to get clarity in their life, to go, I can do something really important and meaningful to me. And so our bread and butter right now is we produce dance competitions that tour around the United States. We go to 65 cities. We host 40,000 dancers with a company called StarQuest. I put on something down in Greenwich Village called The Legacy Show, which is a monthly event that we host highly accomplished people, and the audience comes and they talk about their fears. So the very accomplished people talk about their fears to make people in the audience go, well, they're scared and I'm scared. The only difference is they took action. So one of the things that we do, Anne-Marie, that you know that I do, that you've been on, like you said, is the gratitude slam. I don't charge for it. It's free. It's something. It's a passion of mine. I've made great friends, such as yourself, through that world. But the gratitude slam, it's I post something every single day about gratitude. I've posted something every day about focusing on a specific intention, and the idea of it is through gratitude. What you do is you condition your mind to focus on what you do have. I could say I'm broke, or I could say I have $10 in the bank account. In either way, or in your case, 10 pounds in the bank account, right? So if you can condition your mind to focus on the things you have, you can generate luck. And luck is, as the quote goes, when preparation meets opportunity. But if you're focused your entire life, or your just habit is to focus on everything that you don't have, what you do is you'll see every opportunity not to pursue the crap that you like, pardon my language, right? And so I've seen so many people not pursue important things for every reason they don't have. While I've seen other people who have been in worst case scenarios make great achievements and pursue the things that they really love because they said, well, what do I have? So with the Gratitude Slam every Tuesday at 7 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, which would be 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock a.m. your time, we do something called a Gratitude Slam through Be Live, which is the program we're using here. And it generally gets 100 to 200 people watching it. We get several hundred comments on each one where it's sort of a gathering. And so we can go over it a little bit, but that's what the Gratitude Slam is. And so if anyone wants to see what that is, actually, is anyone on here? Because I see Amy's in here.
Yes, I was going to say we've got, I want to pop these up. So Kate's watching. Kate's an author like me.
Yeah.
So she's
great.
Okay as well. So hi to Kate. Rona is one of my good friends. She's watching, but she's currently at work, so she has to have the subtitles. She needs subtitles.
The cool thing about this is you can watch the replay.
So yeah, she'll have to pick it up obviously a little bit later on. But what I was going to say is when you were talking about the gratitude and focusing on what you do have instead of focusing on what you don't have, etc., and the passion, that was one of the things that actually attracted me to to you and to what you do, if that makes any sense. Because I think certainly for me, and I know Kate can echo this as well, when we talk about writing, what we do, we go into this complete other world where we just become so passionate. And sometimes people get it, and sometimes people switch off, and you can see that they've kind of just glazed over. But it was like you were saying about the story about the spine of the sorry, what was it? Spine of a
stingray.
A stingray.
I just want to make sure you're not hearing that feedback. I'm getting a little feedback. You're not hearing that, are you?
No, I haven't got any feedback.
Okay,
no.
As long as you don't hear it.
No, I'm good. So obviously, to most of us, the spine of a stingray is just a collection of bones. But like you said, to that one person, the passion that they injected into that, which then made you think, wow, okay. And I think that's what resonated with me when obviously I first got to know you, was that you know, it's about being, I think it's very easy in life to be very downhearted all of the time, to look at the bad, to look at the negative, because let's face it, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. There's a lot of negatives. You know, over here we've had rubbish weather for goodness knows how long, and it's very, very easy to get pulled down into all of those things. And somebody like you that can come out and go, hey, come on, you know, let's just think about what we've got and let's be grateful for what we've got. You know, I think that's an incredible gift, really.
Well, let's look at for a second, why is it that it's easier to be negative, right? It's more than, look, in our current modern culture, which is fairly new. I mean, how many millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years have humans been in existence now? But it's the past like 40 years. We've learned the news, the media, all that. But why does the news and the media focus on everything that's bad? It's really easy to focus on the bad. I'm sure if happiness created ratings, we'd have happy news. The news would be talking about everything good, right? But no, as human beings, we're animals, right? And we're survival animals at that. And so when there's something bad, our brain goes, oh God, what is that? Run! Or fight, flight, or freeze, right? We do one of those things. It's part of our primal system. It's what animals do. So we are, by nature, by default, we automatically focus on what's not good to avoid it, because that's how we got this far in the first place. Then you put culture, then let's layer on the cultural aspects of, oh, well, everyone around me is negative. I'm supposed to be negative. Oh, everyone else around me says don't do this. And everyone's focused on what's not good, right? Because that's how we survive. Don't touch the hot stove. That's how we don't burn ourselves. Don't talk to the strangers with the ski mask on. You know, that's how we got mugged over the years. You know, run from the thing with the teeth. And I'll be transparent, and I don't talk about this very often, but I'm happy to talk about it. And that's when I was younger, I was not a very happy child. And I couldn't find somewhere to fit in because education didn't work and everyone else was succeeding and I was family. And so looking for positive was something that I had to build in my own life as my survival mechanism. Either the pain was so bad of feeling left out and not feeling good enough or whatever it was. I don't know how. I think I was lucky. I just found tools on how to be positive. And so in the gratitude slam, I always say, gratitude is an attitude. But you could also say happiness is an attitude. You could also say negativity is an attitude. You could say fear, you know, fear is not an attitude, but living fearfully is an attitude. So in the gratitude slam, I say gratitude is an attitude. And an attitude is a skill. And a skill is a habit. And a habit can be learned. So I have a lot of people that come into the gratitude slam and say, but I'm not grateful for anything. I don't naturally have a positive outlook. Look, I'm not saying you do or you don't. Do you want to change the habit? Well, I'm depressed. Well, I'm medicated. Well, I'm not taking that from anybody. But do you want to make the change? If the answer is no, well, then the gratitude slam ain't the place for you. No. And it's so cool to see people come in who have that negative outlook on their positive outlook. And after a while, they go, you know, I see a change. I actually, like I have people, strangers write me and they go, I woke up and I saw something good. Yeah. Like, to me, that is so beautiful when someone who couldn't find beauty in something can find beauty in something.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say that to you, actually, because for me, I'm part way on your journey, I would say. Mm-hmm. So I'm not, I'm a happy person outwardly. I wouldn't say I'm a naturally happy person inwardly. Mm-hmm. And so for me to be happy or to be grateful or to have the gratitude, which is obviously what we're talking about, definitely sometimes has to be a choice. And I have to say to myself, I choose to be happy about X, Y, and Z, and put the other stuff that I'm not happy about to one side. And I will openly admit I'm terrible at doing that. But it's interesting because if I do that and I forget myself for a moment and I forget that I'm not supposed to be happy because I'm preconditioned to be unhappy or negative or whatever it is, then you suddenly think, oh, actually, you know, it's definitely what you said, the attitude, it is completely a state of mind. I just want to say, oh, hi, Alfredo's here. Hi, Alfredo. Nice
Alfredo.
to see you. Sandra's popped a comment up here.
Yeah, I love what Sandra said.
Yeah, with her New Year's resolution this year, trying to find something positive each day, write it down on a small piece of paper, put it in a jar, and I will find time next year to read these notes. And I think that's a really good idea, isn't it? I mean, that's a really practical way of sort of doing something that you're obviously sort of training or helping us to do. This is my husband. This is one of these conversations we always have. I am a half empty. He is a half full. But he's asking you, obviously, whether we should be a half empty or a half full.
Well, here's something that's, well, first off, I to go to both. Sandra, that's a beautiful habit to build, right? Especially if you're doing it, because what you're doing is you're building the habit of spotting what's good. And so, Anne-Marie, what I heard you say before about yourself, right? You're outwardly a happy person, but inwardly you're not. Now, that is, number one, awesome acknowledgement. Thank you for the vulnerability on that, right? No, it is. It's great that you can acknowledge that about yourself. But and I'm not saying don't be outwardly happy, but it's a lot healthier to be able to make them combined. Now, the beginning steps, like you said, you're halfway there. You're acknowledging it. You're taking the time to seek the positive, to seek what there is to be grateful for, and eventually your mind will recondition itself to start to spot the positive. But you're missing, like you said, 50% of the equation. So the 50% is the mechanics. Well, the language I'm going to use, it's not that you need to remind yourself to be positive. Well, that's not going to work. Hey, I just got dumped. Well, be positive. It's not going to work that way, right? It does. You can't trick you can't trick the deepest part of yourself that easily. So you have the first part, which is, let's use the language. I was just dumped. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying Anne-Marie was dumped. Her husband's on here, for God's sakes.
As far as I know, I haven't been.
As far as you know, but who knows, right? No, but let's say someone was dumped by their boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, husband, wife, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You could say, oh, good, I didn't like them anyways, right? But you're still going to have that sadness inside. Now you have to, the question is, what are you going to focus on now? I was dumped. Wow, my love, that person couldn't handle the amount of love that I had to give. Or could you say to yourself, I'm not lovable, right? So the first step is, yes, the mechanics. You know what? Thank God they're out of my life. This was a negative experience. Sorry, my microphone just fell off of me. And then the second part is, well, what's the story you're going to tell yourself about this? And you need to find the opportunities for, sorry, microphone just unscrewed. All right. But you need to change what you're focusing on, right? And get in the habit of changing what you focus on. I have relationships with clients that most people would be like, that's awful. I go, you know what? Every time that person is intense with me, I learn something. And what is it that I learned? Now, that doesn't mean that I should take abuse or anything like that. I need to know my boundaries. But in addition to the mechanics, the gratitude slam is the mechanics.
Yeah.
But there's the second part. How do you focus on that other 50%?
Yeah.
But it is part of the journey.
And what you just said, obviously taking the example that you took there, that you've just been dumped and you've got, that not so much a choice, but you can kind of say, look, that person wasn't worthy of me, or you can say, oh, I wasn't good enough. And the type of person I am, you can probably guess I'm going for the I wasn't good enough. So I'm automatically going down the negative road rather than the positive road. And I think that for me personally is something that I find very, very hard to switch around and maintain. I think, you can switch it around for, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe even a day, whatever. But then, the next day you wake up and it's like, oh, it's there again. So maybe we can do, a demonstration here now, and maybe you can kind of do one of these, let's do it. Let's kind of, let's show everybody how this works. And
can I give one more? Can I give one more anecdote, and then let's do it? Because there's another component that I see a lot of people do, because I've done it myself. So I'm married. My wife's name is Lauren. I love her. It's an amazing relationship. Thank God I got divorced, right? If I didn't get divorced, I wouldn't have met her. Now, the reason I say this is, when I was going through divorce, this isn't passing blame, but I was trying to be stronger than my emotions, right? So I was trying to be, because I was a lot like you, like I'm outwardly happy, when inside I was dying. And this is a true story. One day, probably a year after separating or whatever the process was at the time, I was folding my laundry and my arm froze up. It literally froze up. And after it froze up, I hit the ground. I hit the floor. And I was paralyzed on the floor. And I didn't know. Well, I was very scary. My heart was racing. I was like, this is it. I'm dying. I don't know why, but I'm dying. And doing the laundry triggered this, right? Because it was a domestic chore or something I personally didn't do, myself in the past. And it's not a sexist thing. I just didn't do the laundry in the past, right? But it was a domestic kind of chore. And that I had not done. So I must have triggered something. So I said to myself, if I could get a phone, would I call 911 right now? I said, if there was a fire, could I move? And I was able to move my leg. I was able to move another one. But I was still on the ground. I said, this is not a medical emergency. This is something screwed up in my mind right now. Because I was outwardly happy to everyone, but inwardly just dying for so many different reasons. And the outward happiness was me masking the pain that was in there. Yeah. So what ended up happening was I was able to get my therapist at the time on the phone. And I was able to sit up and stand up, and I was able to go. And he just happened to be available that day. And here's what I learned. Emotions are meant to be transient. And a lot of times, especially those of us that want to do good, the hardbringers of the world, like you and me who do these videos and everything, spend our time doing this, by turning off the emotions, by taking out the low notes. Every low note you take out on the piano, you take out an equal amount of high notes. So if you keep turning off these low notes and the no notes and the low notes, all you have left is the one note to play. And that's your nervous system, right? So I literally paralyzed myself because I wasn't allowing myself to feel. And the doctor said, Michael, all you need to do is allow yourself to feel. And literally, that he goes, go home, cry, do whatever you want, be angry. I said, but I'm not angry. He goes, you're angry. Go home and be angry. And the moment I let my emotions flow, within 3 weeks, all of that, those freeze-ups and everything, it just stopped. And so emotions are meant to be transient. And I think people who might feel anxiety or pain, don't allow them to feel that. And the Gratitude Slam, part of the Gratitude Slam is allowing people to express their emotions, which is why it's a closed group that you need to be invited to. So I just wanted to add that in there because I think a lot of people who are very sensitive, I'm a mofo sensitive person. I am so sensitive.
Yeah.
So
same here. I think the thing about anxiety as well, which you obviously touched on, is it's very difficult to control it as well. And I think if you have a particular anxiety, you have a particular fear, you have a particular worry, you have something that you are focusing on. And I think this is what frustrates me sometimes, and this is just sort of my personal experience, is I can be focusing on something that I know isn't healthy, that I know is negative, that I know isn't good, that I know is not serving me. And my rational brain can say all of those things, but the bit that's got the grip, that's got you kind of there, is still obsessing and focusing, and that is where you say about the emotions, and sometimes you just don't know what emotions to attach to it because your brain is just fighting, so many different things.
Here's a really cool fact, and I could talk for hours about this, but here's a really cool fact. Your emotions, which are the gateway to everything else, right? They go through your emotions first because that's part of your survival mechanism. Your emotions and where words come from are two separate parts of the brain that don't communicate with each other, which is why it's so hard to explain your feelings. Wow, it's so hard to say why you love someone. Your neocortex creates the words, and your oh my gosh, just blanking out. And the primal brain, we'll call it, the lizard brain, as Seth Godin calls it, is where your emotions come from. But they're not designed to talk to each other, because if they were, you'd be able to control your heartbeat. Where your words come from and where your heartbeat comes from, two totally different things.
Wow. Gosh, that's something I didn't know.
How do you know?
Okay.
So anyways, I could geek out for hours about this, and I'd love to do a gratitude slam if you'll do it with me. And I do see some gratitude slammers in here, by the way. There's at least 3. So I see at least the name of 3 people who are on the gratitude slam. So I hope you guys participate. Do not linger in the shadows. You guys can do a light version if you'd like. But I'd love to do a gratitude slam.
Yeah, so for anybody that's not seen one of these before that is watching, please join in, be as interactive as you can. Just type bits and pieces in the comments, and well, Michael will lead us, but just go with it and let's just see how it goes. Sandra says she can relate to my comments. Yeah, thank you. And Jenny, so this is one of your gratitude slammers.
Jenny's a gratitude slammer. Hi, Jenny. So awesome seeing you here. Talk about, Anne-Marie, you and I were talking about how it's so cool that we met through the internet and all this other stuff. I met Jenny at an event in Wisconsin. Now she's in Alaska, but we stayed in touch. It's just amazing how the world works if you stay open to people. So anyways, shall we start?
Let's start. I'm going to put you on full screen so that people can get the full effect.
Great. And as people say stuff, feel free to throw their comments up here. So, all right. And if the music's too loud or anything, let me know. Can you hear the music?
Not yet.
Oh my gosh, is it not playing this whole time? Am I not using my headset? Oh, well. Anyhow, if you don't hear the music, that's fine. All right. Well, then let's continue. If you can't hear the music, that's crazy. That's so weird. All right. So here we go. Here's how the gratitude slam works. We start with the habit, and we literally start to it's sort of like, this is like the lawnmower, the spark plug in lawnmower. You say, you type, I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful. Give yourself a physical movement at the same time. I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful. So, Anne-Marie, you can say it.
I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful.
Right. And so those of you watching live, I would love to see you guys take the time to type it out right now in the comments section.
Yeah.
Even if you're not. What's that? I was
going to say, anyone that's watching, type it in the comments. Just join in.
Right. So build that habit of saying, I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful. Because if you do that even once a week, well, it's 3 times more than you've normally said it. Right? I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful. And even if you don't mean it in that moment, because it's a practice, just like yoga is a practice or anything like that. So we're conditioning our mind for, I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful. Yeah, right, there you go. Jenny knows how this works. Mark, 2 more times.
Mark's come in. You need to do it a couple more times, Mark.
2 more times.
Yeah, Jenny says she needed this today.
There you go, Jenny.
Yeah. Kate's joined in. Excellent. Fantastic. Yep, Sandra's joining in. Okay, cool.
Right, Sandra, 2 more times. And I'm telling you right now, because this is not a normal habit for some of you, it might feel uncomfortable. It might feel naughty. It might feel dirty, because maybe you didn't grow up in an environment that allowed for you to see, well, what do I have? So there you go, Mark. Now we got it. He literally did it 3 times. Must be an engineer. And said it 3 times in a row. All right. Anyhow, so I am so grateful, I am so grateful, I am so grateful. So now, just like when you go out, if you're going to go buy a car or you're going to go buy a home, all you're going to see, what are the only advertisements you see when you're buying a car or a home or renting a home? What are the only things you see on the street or in the newspapers? It's the advertisements of the cars or the houses or the apartments, and then you get your car in your house, and within a week, you don't even see those ads anymore. Yeah. I haven't seen a car ad in 20 years. And you know what? They're probably in front of my face all the time, and I haven't even noticed it. So the point of saying all this is you can focus on what you do have, or you can focus on what you don't have, but your mind's only going to focus on one thing. So right now, let's have fun. Sandra's saying, interested to see how this progresses. So now, let's each take 3 different things. Say, I am grateful for blank. What is it? Take the time to write it out. I am grateful for, pick one thing that's major. Your children, your partners, your friends, your beating heart, your breath. So say right now, Anne-Marie, what's one thing you're grateful for?
I'm grateful for my health.
So you're grateful for your health, right? So let's get some other people out here. What else are you grateful for? You're grateful for this moment, for this experience, right? I know Jenny went through a major change. She just mentioned it right there in her life, right? And that's a hard thing to move on from when you lose somebody in life that big. So you have to go, right? And your mind's got to find those things. Grateful for the Saints still being in the cup. I'm assuming that's a sports thing. I wouldn't know because
Southampton football team, yes, they're still in the cup.
as the Saints go marching in. All right. So anyhow, is that it? Well, they teach that song in the American school, so that's great. All right. Now, pick one thing that you're grateful for that's easy to be overlooked. Like, I'm grateful for toilet paper. Think about that for a second. Somebody freaking made toilet paper so you don't have to use a leaf, right? So what's one thing you're grateful for, Anne-Marie, that is easy to overlook?
Oh, gosh. Oh, you put me on the spot now. Let me think.
So while you think about that, everyone else, what's something you're grateful for that's easy to overlook? I'm grateful for Lipton tea, even though I think it sucks.
I am grateful for socks because they keep my feet warm.
Right, socks. And think about it. Someone had to get the wool. Someone had to figure out how to make the sock. Then someone had to mass produce it. Then a store had to get it there. So I'm grateful for those socks. Mark's grateful for respite. I don't know what that means. Is that an English? Is that you say that?
He means respite, as in RESPITE. Our youngest son is severely disabled, and he's currently in respite care tonight.
So grateful for respite, right?
He's grateful for having a night off.
Excellent. So you get that night off, right? So grateful for that there's another organization that can take your loved ones, right? It's easy to overlook it. You can easily be like, well, I have to go. Whatever it is. So everyone else, grateful for seatbelts, right? How cool is that? How many times have we not injured ourselves because of a seatbelt, even if it's a small thing? And just so you know, in the gratitude slam, we don't always grateful for your bed. Easy to overlook that one, right? I'll tell you, in New York City, the moment I walk outside the door, and I'm in one of the most, this office is in one of the most affluent areas of New York City, I promise you, I'm going to see, within the first 5 minutes of my walk, no less than 20 people who don't get that bed. Oh, Mark, you and me spell checker, brother. Yeah, you and me. Yes. All right. Grateful for a cute accent. I said that when I first came on. I go, I'm so happy I'm hearing your accent.
Oh, thank you.
In gratitude plan, we have different themes and things like that. But let's do one more I am grateful for. I want you to pick one thing you're grateful for that you're not grateful for. Just to say it. I'm grateful. One thing you're grateful for that you would normally not be grateful for at all. Such as, I'm grateful for the cough I have this week. I'm also grateful I don't have it during this whole time, but I've had a cough this whole week. Because what I'm doing is I'm conditioning my mind not to put the negative weight towards it and put a positive weight towards it. We could talk about all the reasons why that is powerful. And we could talk about vibrations and energy and all that stuff, but we're not. We're going to keep this very fundamental here. But imagine
I am grateful for my neck pain.
You're grateful for your neck pain. Because you're at least saying, you know what, neck pain, I know you're there. I'm grateful I can feel it. Right, yeah. Jenny, for you, I know there's a major grieving in your life right now. I'm grateful that I'm grieving, that you can grieve, that you have the ability to grieve. Now, I'm not trying to fool you to make yourself believe that you're grateful. All I'm trying to do, and all I'm wanting people to do, is in times of adversity, be able to go, what is this here to teach me? That's actually an Oprah statement. What is this here to teach me? That's a lesson I learned from Oprah, not herself, but from listening to one of her podcasts or something. So that's that. So now that we've done this, and there's a few more people, I'm grateful for the beautiful countryside around me. Easy to overlook, right? So everyone, wow, look at that. Not everyone's like jumping in right now with something that they're grateful for that's easily grateful for, that's easy to not be grateful for.
Well, it's tough, isn't it, that one?
Well, it's tough because, again, you're overriding 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years of habits of being, I should be upset about that, or I should be unhappy about that. And I'm just asking you to just stretch. That's all it is. It's stretch. Grateful for 20 years before you can retire, right? But, right, look at you saying it, though. It feels different when you say it that way. Grateful for the distance between your family and you. Grateful for the pain as it makes you feel alive. Again, I'm not trying to be that. I'm outwardly positive. All we're doing here is doing a practice, like yoga. You don't walk down the street and do yoga. You're not going to do downward dog in the middle of the street. I mean, you might, but caution. You don't know what's going to come up behind you. So the point is, it's an exercise. It's a practice, just like yoga or just like meditating. And we're stretching our mind to see opportunity, to see the light in areas where people normally find darkness. Look, people in the Holocaust. Viktor Frankl talked about this. People who were in the Holocaust. It was one or two things. Either it was pure luck. You just went down the wrong path. You went to the, the wrong side of the concentration path. But if you talk to the people who did not end up in the ovens, the survival was in them being able to find the humor in life and the beauty in things. And I think that's a powerful bit of history. That it's awful that it happened. It should have never happened. God, it's amazing that it happened. But it's interesting to hear survivors say they were able to survive because they found the beauty in the little things.
Yeah, and I mean, I echo obviously what Jenny's saying here. Completely echo that.
Yeah, what makes it stronger. So let's seal in the gratitude slam with the word. What's the name of your podcast? The show here. What is the name of it?
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. So you know what? We have many scenes in life. Every time you wake up, it's a new scene in your day. So let's seal in the slam by writing the word scene. So, Anne-Marie, you can say it.
Scene.
Scene. So behind the scenes, scene. This is another scene in your life, in the participants' life. Look at all the comments we've had here. This is beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I'm grateful for all the participation.
Well, so am I. Fantastic. I'm thrilled that people have have kind of come on board with this, and brilliant. So
let's just take a breath. Let's let it out. And so, Anne-Marie, what's the one biggest takeaway for you today?
For me, it's what we touched on earlier, which is to focus on the good, because I very, very, very easily forget that. I do. I get very, very easily drawn into negative spirals, and it takes a lot. I mean, you will know this as well. Anybody else that's obviously had sort of emotional journeys and sort of difficult mental journeys. It takes a lot each time to kind of bring yourself back up and bring yourself out of it and kind of recondition yourself and start again and whatever. So for me, the reminder from speaking to you obviously tonight or this afternoon as it is for you, that, hey, come on, there's so much for us to be grateful for. And that really is what we need to focus on, and to try to condition ourselves to focus on that, and to just kind of let everything else, take care of that.
I think that's a great takeaway. And it's, I'd love to find out everyone's takeaway, but we're not going to do that. And you have to remember, I call it hijacking your biology, because your mind and your brain and your, that primal brain of yours is going to want to keep you survive. So it's going to look for everything to be fearful about so that you survive. Don't go outside. Don't talk to strangers. Don't see the light. Find that negative. So all you're doing is you're hijacking biology. And the really, really cool thing is our brains have evolved to a point that we can do that. Animals can't do that. An animal that's fearful is going to, until that fear is gone, is going to keep feeling that fear. So thank you so much for having me on.
No, you're very welcome. I really appreciate you coming on, and obviously Sandra's coming away with something very similar. I must learn to put any negativity into perspective. Actually, Sandra, that is me to a T. I will take a negative. It frustrates the life out of me, and I don't know whether this is something that you can sort of relate to as well, Michael. But something small will happen that to any other person in life would be so insignificant they wouldn't even give it a thought. To me, it's like the biggest disaster in the world, and I will ruminate on it, and it will go round and round and round and round in my head until I just drive myself crazy, and I just think, this is ridiculous. And that's what I don't have. What Sandra's mentioning here is I lose my perspective, and that can be very frustrating as well. So I think that's a really valid comment, certainly for me.
That's so interesting. And so, what's so funny about it? It's not that I don't value your comments, Sandra. I do quite a bit. But I would have been like, oh, that's a nice statement. But right, for you, because you can relate to it so well, it has depth to you. So that's so interesting. And again, talk about perspective. That was a new perspective, hearing your perspective of her perspective. And and so now you can start to go, look, my wife does it to me all the time. Every time, because trust me, life ain't always roses over here. Especially now that you know that me being positive is a technique, not a natural thing. One of the most attractive things about my wife was she's truly happy. I'm like, this woman is a happy woman in real life. And so sometimes when I'm negative, she'll be like, well, what are you grateful for? I'm like, you know what, I don't like you right now. You know, because she'll turn it on me, and then I go, all right, I'm grateful for this. Okay, it's fine.
And that's interesting you saying that, because and he knows this, so I don't mind saying this. One of the things that I sort of initially attracted me to Mark, my husband, was the fact that he is always happy to be himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I did find, and I do find it incredibly difficult to be myself. And like you said, so whenever I'm kind of having one of these moments, he's always very, very similar to what it sounds like your wife is. It's like, yeah, exactly.
Good spouse is a mirror.
Yeah. And sometimes it's really annoying because you just want to go, no, just leave me alone because I want to be miserable. I want to be sad. I don't want you to tell me that everything's great. But, it's interesting that you have that sort of relationship where you do, I guess, balance it out, I guess.
But the other part is our emotions are our own, right?
Yeah.
My emotions belong to her. Her emotions belong to her. And one of the things that we've even talked about before is, look, we'll call each other out, but if we need or want to stay in that space, we're going to allow each other to stay in that space. And we're going to love each other while they're in that space because we know who we are, and the ego's just got to drop it and flush it out and do whatever you have to do. But because there's nothing worse than being like, oh, be positive, get out of my way, right? Don't tell me how to feel. But it's nice to be called out on it, because then it's my choice if I get a new perspective or if I want to have my little pity party by myself. She'll let me have it. Trust me, she lets me have the pity party, but she is certainly going to point out that it's a pity party first. And then it's up to me to make the decision. So, and
isn't that interesting, the choice? Because that for me, and I don't know whether it's because this is the stage of my journey I'm currently on, or the sort of mindset that I'm currently in, that choice is such it is such a conscious choice.
Absolutely.
It's not like it's literally like, okay, I can choose to forget about this particular problem and be happy, or I can choose to dwell on this particular problem and let it get me down. And sometimes I've got the strength to make the choice, and sometimes I haven't. And sometimes it gets you down, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's fascinating that there are times in your life when you're not conscious you're making those choices. You are just in a place where you are happy, you're sort of, life is ticking along, things are okay, and you're not consciously making those choices. And then you get times of challenge where, again, this is just my perspective, you get times of challenge where it is a conscious choice. And to have the strength to continue to make that conscious choice to be happy is something I really find hard. And I will openly admit, as I said to you when we started, I will openly admit that I'm not terribly good at it sometimes. And I will wallow, which we all know does us no good whatsoever. But sometimes you just can't bring yourself out of it.
But it is easier. I'm sorry. It's easy to say, oh, something just happened. I choose to forget about it, or I choose to dwell on it. It's you just can't tell your brain to forget about it, like it never happened. And I think that's what a lot of people do. Oh, it never happened. Let's just not think about it, because you're gonna keep thinking about it. It's like, don't think, whatever you do, don't think about elephants, right? You're gonna manifest on them more. It's the tricks and tools and techniques. Look, I am, like I said at the beginning, I'm very sensitive, and for a while I didn't think I'd be able to go into business because I was just like, I'm too sensitive. I hold on to things way too much. And now I'm an entrepreneur. I run a very large, tour and stuff like that. And I've just had to learn the techniques to move on. It's not that I needed to forget about it. It's the techniques to move on. We could do a whole nother show just about that by itself, right? So I'm going to end with this. You said that you're not always comfortable being yourself. So I'm going to ask you this question, because we're being vulnerable on this show. What permission do you need to give to yourself to be yourself? Because the person I see is beautiful and lovely and caring, and you want to tell stories to people so that they can be better. Look, you and I do this because we have pain in front of ourselves, right? We love doing this because it's for us. And luckily, there's a lot of other people who are feeling the pain and they want to hear it too. Not luckily, but, I do this because I feel pain. And I feel greater pleasure in seeing people learn from my pain. And, and it's not that I'm always feeling the pain, but I know that journey. And I don't want other people to go through it. And man, for whatever reason and circumstances in my life, my DNA, my biology, my mind said, let me help other people with this knowledge, because that would be a waste of emotional pain and horror and treachery if I didn't let someone else learn from this. So what permission do you need to be more you?
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because I think in the back of my mind, there's always that voice, isn't there, that says, the voice that says you're going to look silly. Nobody's going to want to listen to you. Nobody's going to want to read what you've written. Nobody's going to like you, etc., etc. And I mean, I still have now, and I mean, obviously don't need to go into it now because we are running well over time, but I still have issues now from when I was bullied at school.
Of course,
where when people sort of say, "Oh, blah, 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 blah," and I'm like, "No, you don't really mean that. You don't, because from a very early age, unfortunately, I was told by people that I wasn't a nice person, or I wasn't this, what, and I don't want to go into it, and I don't want to use that excuse. I don't want to dwell. But I think that is still there. So when you talk about being you, sometimes I think, oh, maybe that me isn't good enough, or maybe that me isn't what that person wants. Or sometimes you become yourself, and you put yourself out there, and you open yourself up, and you kind of show the world who you are, and then you get rejected, and that can be really tough as well. And I think that's when you kind of think, oh, crikey, I've opened myself up to this, and it's for somebody like yourself and like me who kind of is very sensitive, it's a huge then rebuild to kind of like reset yourself and kind of rebuild yourself back up again to go, okay, I can put myself out there again. And I think that's what happens with me. I think that I don't think it's so much about permission. I think it's about trying to guard myself.
Well, actually, it sounds like, and this is what I leave you with, you even said it, you have a voice. And you're always going to have that voice. And that's the voice of your protector, right? That's the voice of the don't get hurt again. That's the voice of don't get rejected again. That's the voice of don't burn yourself again. Don't trust someone again, right? That's that voice. So, like you said, maybe it's not permission. Maybe it's time to say to that voice, name that voice. Give it whatever name you want. Call it fear. Call it God. Call it the authority figure that really beat the shit out of you when you were younger. And give it that voice, because I have a name for it. I'm not sharing it here because it's very intimate for me. But I often tell that voice, thank you very much for protecting me. I don't need you today. And so I hope that you give it a name so you can name the baby Elephant. And I hope everyone else, because we all have the voice, and we all have the voice.
We do.
And sometimes when that voice is stronger than our consciousness, we need to name it, and we need to put it in the corner, because it doesn't own us. We own it. So I am very grateful for everything you shared, and I think you're an amazing person. And as you do sign off, because of everything you just said, I want everyone that's in the room to say at least 3 different words that comes to mind when you think of Anne Marie, even if today was the first day you've seen her on here, because I want her to know that, I want that voice to know, fuck off. So I'll let you do your sign off while everyone does that, Anne Marie.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Sandra is the answer to your question. It probably is because of that. Jenny, I've never met you before, but it's really lovely to have had you. And obviously your comments have been really, really valuable today. And Outgoing Crazy Self, many are offended by it. Yeah, again, I mean, that's a bit like what obviously we were just talking about, is you put yourself out there, and then you worry about what people are going to think, and obviously if you offend people. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Michael. It's been a real blast. I was looking forward to this one, and you didn't disappoint me. It's been great, obviously, for my viewers to get to see you, because obviously they wouldn't normally have got to see you. And I just think, somebody like you that can kind of bring positivity, into what is a very, very crazy and often negative world, I think is invaluable. So I'm really, really grateful. Oh, Kate says Anne-Marie is creative, talented, and lovely. Oh, thank you, Kate.
Look at her. Look at her. Because she's putting the voice in the corner. Look, her face is literally changing right now. I mean, the structure of your face has literally changed.
Oh, thank you. It's interesting, isn't it, as well, though, when people say nice things to you, sometimes you feel a bit like, that
So
I don't quite know what to
give
say.
yourself the permission. Give yourself the permission to accept it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, Mark's given 4 words. Elephant, cricket, Joe Root, 4 words. Okay. So Joe Root, who you won't know, he's the England Test cricket captain, who I have a little bit of a crush on. So there we go. Jenny says, great smile and laugh. That accent, love it. Can't wait to be behind the scenes. Thank you. See, I find my accent really annoying, so it's just I hate listening to myself talk, because that's brilliant. Yay, Kate. And here we go. Sandra says, brave, lively, and inspirational. Oh, thank you, Sandra. Thank you. Oh, so I'll have to have you on more often, Michael. You're great for my ego.
Well, you know what? I'm not doing anything. This is my point. I'm only, look, you're actually the host, but I facilitated the second half of this. And all you did was accept what I facilitated. You didn't have to accept it. And that goes for everyone in this room. People say, oh, it's because of me. No, I don't do anything except for facilitate. Yeah, the work is done by you. And I'm pointing to you, all the comments that are on the side of my screen. So that's proof that the Gratitude Slam, the concept of what it's for, it's to build those habits so that you can facilitate the conversations with that voice, whatever you want to give it the name, and move forward and start to find opportunities. So again, scene.
Thank you. And thank you, Jenny. I'm going to pop this up again at the end now. Self-love. I think that is a huge thing I'm not anywhere near where I need to be with that, but I think that is massive. And I think that's something that we should all take away from this. We have to love ourselves, and we have to have pride in ourselves, and we have to have commitment to be, to be that sort of best version of ourselves that we can be. So, yeah, thank you. That's brilliant. We've gone on way longer than I anticipated, but I thought we probably would. So I will put the links to Michael's website and his Gratitude
Do it to the Gratitude Slam page. Do it to the Gratitude Slam page.
I will do. So I'll pop that in the comments. Actually, I've got it here. Where have I put it now? Hang on a second. Okay, this is the Gratitude Slam group. So if you want to come along and join Michael regularly for these, you just hop along to this Facebook group here. And I think we worked out that's 11 o'clock our time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did we say that? It's 7 o'clock your time, isn't it? So that's 11 o'clock.
No, it's 5 o'clock here. It's just shy of 5.
No, sorry, your Gratitude Slam. Did you say it goes
7 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, so 11 o'clock your time.
11 o'clock, yeah. So pop along on Facebook to the Gratitude Slam, join in, and you'll have obviously more of the same, and it just kind of really gets you boosted and good for good for the day. Oh, this is really sweet. Jenny says that she's avoided you. Don't say
that to me.
No, she's obviously been in a very painful situation and she's avoided you. And I think that's really sweet that she's chosen today to tune in.
Thank you for tuning in, Jenny. And you know what? You'll always come to it when the time is right. The timing is for you. It's not for me. The timing is yours.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kate. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us. And lots of hearts from Jenny. And that's it. Brilliant. So, as I said, it's been a fantastic show. I hope you've all taken something away from it. I know that I have. And I know that obviously, Michael, you and I, we can connect, we can be friends, and we can kind of be.
Of course, we are friends.
We can be grateful together, and we can, we can kind of get this journey, keep this journey going.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. Thank you. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you all next Friday. All right then, take care everybody. Have a good week. See you soon. Bye for now. Bye.